sort of typical way in which the integration of consciousness takes place. Namely, the average way is that through the analysis of dreams, for instance, you become acquainted with the contents of the unconscious. I already told you this to begin with, all personal material.
Yes.
Subjective questions, questions of the individual's difficulties in adapting to environmental conditions, and so on.
Yes.
Now, it is a regular observation that when you talk to an individual, and this individual gives you insight into its inner preoccupations, interests, emotions. In other words, hands over his personal complexes. Then you get slowly and nilly-willy into the situation of a sort of authority.
Yeah.
You become a point of reference. You know you are in possession of all the important items in a person's development. I remember, for instance, I analyzed a very well-known American politician, and he told me, any amount of the secrets of his trade. And suddenly he jumped up and said, "By God, what have I done? You know, you get $1 million for what I have told you now." I said, "Well, I'm not interested. You can sleep in peace. I shall not betray you. I forget it within a fortnight." Now, you see, that shows that the things people hand out are not merely indifferent things. When it comes to something important, emotionally important, then they hand out themselves. They hand out a big emotional value, as if they were handing over a large sum, as if they were trusting you with the administration of their estate.
Yes.
And they're entirely in your hands.
Yes.
Often, I hear things, that could ruin those people, utterly, if it's perfectly known. Or it would give me, if I should have any blackmailing tendencies, unlimited power to blackmail them. Now, you see, that creates an emotional relationship to the analyst. And that is what Freud called the transforms.
Yes.
Which is a central problem of analytic psychology. It is just so as if these people had handed out their whole existence, and that can have very peculiar effects upon the individual. Either they hate you for it or they love you for it. Yeah. But you are not indifferent to them. And there is then a sort of emotional relation between the patient and the doctor.
Yes.
Now, when you hand out such materials, then these contents are associated with all the important persons in the life of a patient. Now, the most important persons are usually father and mother.
Yeah.
That comes up from childhood. The first troubles are with the parents as a rule. So, in handing over your infantile memories about the father or about the mother, you hand over also the image of father and mother. Then it is just as if the doctor had taken the place of the father, even of the mother. I had quite a number of male patients that called me Mother Jung, because they handed over the mother to me, curiously enough. But you see, that's quite irrespective of the personality of the analyst. It is simply disregarded. He functions as if he were the mother, or he functions as if he were the father, the central authority. And now that is what one calls transference. That's a case, a particular case of of projection.
Yes.
Now Freud doesn't exactly call it projection; he calls it transference.
Yes.
That is an allusion to the old and superstitious idea of handing over a disease, transferring a disease upon an animal, or handing over the sin upon a scapegoat, and the scapegoat takes it out into the desert and makes it disappear. So they hand over themselves in the hope that I can swallow that stuff and digest it for them. And so I am in local practice and have a high authority. Naturally, I'm also persecuted by the correspondent resistances, by all the manifold emotional reactions they have had against their parents. Now, that is the stuff you have to work through first in analyzing the situation, because a patient in such a condition is not free. He is the slave. He's utterly dependent upon the doctor, like a patient with an open abdomen on the operation table. He is in the hands of the surgeon for better or worse. And so the thing must be finished. And so we had to work through that condition in the hope that we arrive in a situation where the patient is able to see that I'm not the father or not the mother, that I am an ordinary human being. Now, everybody naturally should assume that such a thing would be possible. For instance, that a patient could arrive at such an insight when he's not a complete idiot, that I am just a doctor and not an emotional figure of their fantasies. But that is very often not the case.